What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brandon's Face. It's the podcast about a playlist. I'm Jonathan Beardsley.
And I am Brandon May.
Thank you all for joining us. We have a ton of music to talk about on this episode, so we're just going to get right into things, starting with this new one from Skrillex, Hamdi, and Taichu called Push, long-awaited ID. I think it lived up to the hype. What about you?
Yeah, man, this track is a fucking banger. There's really not any other way to say it, right? Skrillex has been doing some really
Yeah,
interesting collabs with artists I've never heard of, and I think that that's really cool, man.
same. Let's see here. Hamdi currently has 1,000,004 listeners, which I didn't really even know he was that popular, and Taichu has 1,003,300,000 monthly listeners right now. So yeah, it's really cool seeing him work with some artists that are kind of deserving of this spotlight because this is just all around great. That last drop
Oh
is
yeah.
fucking insane on this.
Oh yeah.
New one from Nelly Furtado and Tove Lo, produced by SG Lewis. It's called Love Bites. I think I wanted to like this one a little more than I actually liked it. What about you?
Um, I actually think that all three of these artists kill it on this one, man. I think SG's production is right where I like him, and the back and forths between Nelly and Tove kind of really do it. I'm surprised you actually didn't like this one as much as I did.
I think it's the Nelly parts that are just kind of throwing me a bit. And it's not that they're bad, they're just a little predictable. Maybe that's kind of what it is, or just, I don't know. It's a good song, but I felt like it was going to be a slam dunk. It just didn't feel like a slam dunk.
Interesting.
All right, we got a new one from Jason Ross, Kill the Noise, and Sarah DeWarren called Under Pressure. This has given me all the like early 2010s house vibes with those like cascade female trance vocals that we've come to know so well. I liked it though, man. What about you?
It doesn't feel like Kill the Noise is old work, but it does feel like old work. I'm
Yes,
assuming this.
exactly.
I'm assuming you would mention you would send me a text message with one of Kill the Noise's Instagram posts. Kill the Noise is going to be moving, or at least the very least, releasing a couple of tracks on his like older sound back when he was collabing with Feed Me, like when I do code and
Mhm.
his like Black Magic album that he put out. And I'm really excited for that. And so when this came out, I was like, and then I listened to it and I was like, oh, this isn't that. But I'm assuming this was recorded prior to that announcement. So,
Yeah, this is also like Jason Ross is the lead artist on the song just
right,
with
right, right,
Kill
right.
the Noise, but yeah, I good nonetheless, but I am very excited for some of that. When he posted the old Kill 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 like screenshot, I actually tried to find that song online and I was very disappointed that it's not on streaming. So hopefully some of that music sees the light of day again.
What?
All right, got this new one from Feed Me, Giant Creatures. Thought this one was great, really fun. I don't not like Vegas pool party, but there's definitely a pool party vibe to this one. I really liked it. He's already announced another new song coming out tonight, so we're
Yes.
eating as Feed Me fans, pun fully intended. What do you think of this one?
As is tradition, John, we have another fantastic track from Feed Me. This bass line is so clean, but he
Yep.
does this thing with his bass lines and his like chord progressions on whatever VSTs or whatever he uses. It's like crisp, but like just off kilter enough. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Yeah. It never sounds like homogenized or too neat. He's really good at that. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, we got the Artback remix of "Hey Boy, Hey Girl" by the Chemical Brothers, a classic. Did this one live up for you?
You know, John, I usually don't like it when artists let other artists remix their own perfection, but curiosity got the best of me, and this remix is fucking incredible, man. It's modern, but not too far removed from the original. He puts a lot of the same, he like samples the original track towards the end there with that,
Mhm.
and yeah, I really like this remix. It actually really surprised me. My wife and I are both Chemical Brothers snobs, and when I told her that somebody remixed it, she was like, "Are you sure?" And she ended up liking it too, which I think is a big nod of approval to the Chemical Brothers.
Yeah, we've reviewed a few Artbat songs on the podcast before, so I kind of knew what to expect going into it. I think he did a really good job. He paid homage to it as well as reinterpreted it. It's just a really fun modern update, if nothing else. I thought it
Yeah,
was good.
yeah, good shit.
New one from Louis the Child and Madeon called "Believe It." I really like this one. It's really fun, but it is so jarring to hear the word fuck on a Maddown track. That caught me off guard a little bit. What do you think about this?
Are we doing Tropical House again? Is this the thing that we're doing?
Kygo did just announce a new album today, so maybe.
This is just some pop music, but it's catchy as hell, man. I can't deny it. I did enjoy this one for what it is.
Yeah, same. We got a new one from Paris called For Eternity. What'd you think of this one?
Just some lovely synth work on this one, man. This
Hmm.
melody out of control. Another killer from This Never Happened with their classic now at this point album artwork. I believe that there is going to be more coming from Paris on This Never Happened, which is awesome. I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, same. I really don't even have notes on this one. I just really liked it.
It's a good one.
Simple as that. Yeah. Got a new one from LP Giobbi and Jacob Banks called Feel. Thought this one was really good. Giobbi always kills it. The radio that starts to like play off of this on Spotify, if you just play the song, is excellent too. Highly recommend using this song to radio off of. It's a
Neat.
vibe. What do you think about this one?
So I gave this one the old three listens, right? My
Sure.
earpods, my car, and my nice headphones. Uh, this is different than your regular run-of-the-mill piano house track, man. This is
Hmm.
gorgeous. The jazzy piano melody, the strings that come in halfway through, that guitar lick that just like it's just that little extra. This is my song of the week, Sean. I fucking loved
Fuck
this
yes.
track.
Oh yeah. Dude, it's so good. I'm glad you liked it too, man. Piano House obviously, has a huge place in my heart, and I think Giobbi is just one of the best at it, man. There's so many just little intricacies going on in the music that you almost don't even catch the first time. You almost need the three full listens, like you were saying. I
Exactly,
have
man.
immensely enjoyed getting into her music the last few years.
It's just got the little subtleties that sets it apart, and I will forever regret not seeing LPGOB and DJ Tennis and Joshua Tree or 29 Palms or whatever they played in their little
I mean,
Airstream.
in your defense, I don't think it was highly publicized. It
But
was
that
really
was the
hard to find
point, John.
when that show was played. That's the good EDM. Those are the ones you have to be at. Yeah, I really liked that one too. All right, we got a new one from Tiffany Day, Hella Boy Crazy. I thought this track was fucking great, man. We have not talked about Tiffany Day on here before. I'm a big fan of her stuff. We'll have to go back through her older stuff at some point. I hope this song gets a lot of love because I feel like if Sabrina Carpenter released this exact song, it would be a giant hit. I see no reason why it shouldn't be with Tiffany Day doing it. What do you think about this one?
Okay, so the song is good. It's a very, very good pop song,
Be
undeniable.
catchy.
Have you read Tiffany Day's Spotify description?
I believe I have. Let me
It
go down and
is
see here.
insufferable. I hate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Let
just
people enjoy
I'm I'm
things,
I'm, I'm
Brandon.
gonna scroll down for everybody here. My name is Tiff. I'm 23 years old. I make music. It goes on from there. Uh, the words are written in her. That being said, again, her music is great. Like this is a great song. I really enjoyed it. But I was like, who is this? And went to click on her Spotify profile and was like, nah, this ain't it, Chief.
The music is all you need to hear, Brandon.
That's
Listen to
true. That's
literally
true.
the top 4 songs on her, like, most popular, and you will be a huge fan, I
You know
assure
that
you.
I did. You know that I
Yes.
did,
And
John.
you
Like
said
this is
this was
good.
not it? Okay,
No, no,
okay.
no. Her Spotify description is somebody in PR needs to be like, yo, you
I
need to like
believe
cue
I
the
believe
cue
she
the
is a Chinese American living in Los Angeles that makes music, if you would like to know any more.
cue
I don't know.
the Jonah Hill gif. I think it was at the Oscars or the Grammys where he's just like, nah, bro, cut that shit out.
All right, people, put your contact info out there. We just want to support you. All right, we got a new one from Flow called Caught Up. This is the last call to board the Flow train before it takes off, man. Their first single a few years ago was great, and every song they've released since has just gotten better and better. Again, I think they've just gotten better to this point. This is probably my favorite track of theirs yet. I think it's perfect. The comparisons to Destiny's Child are well deserved at this point. Just please, for the love of God, release the album because this is so good. What do you think about it?
Before I played this, I was kind of excited to listen to Flo cover Usher's Caught Up. Imagine my disappointment, John. I'm just kidding. This track is great, man. Their voices sound
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, dude, they're just peaking right now. Like this shit is insane. One of the best R&B tracks of the year,
Most
easy.
definitely.
New one from Haley Knox, Double Tragedy, another song that's just fucking insane, man. The old school R&B vocal melodies she's doing in the second verse are like crack to me, dude. I love this track. What about you?
Haley has such a good voice, man. She's got this like attitude with her music that
Hmm.
I don't know, man. It just does it for me.
Same, same. It really does it for me too, dude. This might be my favorite of hers this year, and I think I've said that a couple times with her releases this year. Hopefully, we are headed towards an EP or something.
Yeah, she is consistently impressive. So,
Yeah, yeah, we need people like her in R&B right now for sure.
yep.
Got a new one from Ginger Root, no problems. He just doesn't miss, dude. This is going to be another fucking great EP. The visuals to go along this with this are fucking hilarious. He did like a teaser video where he's like pitching a TV show, and they're like, and it's essentially the concept of this new album. And they're like, no, how about you do Loretta too? He's like, that doesn't even make sense. But man, the guy just does not stop making fucking bangers. I love this one. What about you?
It's been a minute since we've heard from Ginger Root.
About a year? Yeah.
I missed him. Good stuff as always. Like I said, hopefully we're in like you said rather, hopefully we're in store for some new music.
Oh, we are. We are. There's definitely more new music. He's actually playing Portland, I think, in October. Might try and swing by that.
Go see that.
All right, let's get into some heavier stuff. We got a new one from Silent Vice called Echostasis. I love me some Deftones adjacent alt metal, so you know I was a big fan of this. What'd you think about it?
Yes, sir. So, actually, Silent Vice is a local San Diego band. I actually had the opportunity to see them open up for both Aviations and Wheel when I went out to San Diego to see those
Oh,
bands.
sick. Yeah.
They were on stage. They were like, "This is our new song. Here it is." It was so good. I figured I'd throw it on. Even it came out a couple of weeks ago, but man, I bought a shirt immediately after their set. Everybody support this
Oh,
band. This
yeah.
was crazy, man. It was a great show. The song is great. I can't wait for more music from them.
Shout out Silent Vice. Good shit. All right, we got a new one from As I Lay Dying called Burden. Give me your thoughts on it.
Melodic riff driven metalcore is something that this band has historically done very well. This track is no exception. They have a new clean vocalist. I'm sure people who are fans of the band will either already know or will have noticed upon listening to this new song. He sounds pretty good. It's As I Lay Dying, bro, by the numbers at this point, but they have a sound and they do that sound very good.
I just can't get over it, man. Like I know they've
I
been back for like
know.
5 years, but it's never going to be less weird to me that they're continuing on with the same lineup.
I know.
New members are not, despite everything. Musically speaking, though, this track is good. I will leave it at that.
That's fair, and I mean, if you want to address it, we can. I think that this was going to be the only single that I threw onto this playlist. I think we have an album coming out. I was
Oh
not going to be
no,
reviewing the album.
They're- and personal shit aside, the music is the music. Throw it on the podcast. It is just it's weird at times when I see their name pop up, and I'm like, yeah, that's still the okay. All right.
Oh no, it's real weird, man. Like
Yeah.
it's weird, dude. Like it's fucked
Yeah,
up, is what
yeah.
it is. But
They were one of my like gateways to metal in high school. Like
right.
it's weird that like my memory of them is what it is now, but dear God, man, every time I go back to Frail Worlds Collapse and it's like 94 hours and forever, just forever ingrained in me, you know?
That
So
breakdown on Eulogy, bro,
bro, all these years later, still so fucking good. But
hard.
really fucking weird. All right, let's move on. We got a new one from Poolside at the Flamingo called Aka Badab. I don't even know how to say this.
Acabadora.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go with that, man. This feels like a throwback to like the tenacious deathcore sound of the mid 2000s, and I'm a big fan. What'd you think of it?
These breakdowns are fucking soul crushing, John.
Really
I
good.
love how this band plays with textures. I think they're great at crafting environments for their tracks. This is heavy as all hell. I This was actually my runner up for song of the week, and it's incredible. It's just an incredible track. I every time I see that they've released new music, I'm like, fuck yeah.
This is the second song of theirs we've covered, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Are we heading towards a album? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I'll do some research. We'll talk about that either next time. Although they've grouped all of
Hopefully.
these as a bunch of singles, so they've got 4 singles out so far. So far, as being released under exclusive license to Blood Blast rather
This might
distribution.
be the EP. This might just be it. Who knows?
It's
Uh,
possible.
yeah, really good shit, man. I highly encourage fans of the genre to check them out.
Yes, sir.
All right, we got one more single to talk about this week. It is the new one from XG called Woke Up. So, this is the first all rap song from K pop group XG. They've always had rap verses in their songs, but usually their tracks are anchored by more traditional hooks. This isn't too far out of the box for them, I don't think, but it's definitely a step. And I like that they're kind of broadening the definition of what K pop encompasses. What did you think about this one?
I thought it was great, man. I think it's interesting. I think that my history of listening to music is trying to get me to resist K-pop and adjacent music, but like my brain is telling me that it's good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, some of it is not good, but a lot of it is
That's very
very
true.
good. I try to just add the best, but some of it gets on, and I think it's good that we kind of see both ends of the spectrum, the super
Right.
manufactured unauthentic side and the also super manufactured but really good side of it too. And let's get right into that, which is this new one from New Jeans. Their two new singles, How Sweet and Bubblegum. I have been waiting for this release for months now, and I honestly could not be happier with these tracks. So bubbly, perfect for summer. The up-tempo Miami bass sound works perfect for them. Guess who co-wrote How Sweet?
Ooh, who?
Fucking Benny.
Oh shit. Hey, good
Crazy.
for Benny. And good for
Fucking
New Jeans.
crazy,
Good for
dude.
both of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I think Danielle in New Jeans, she does a lot of like the parts that the Korean and like translates, and she does write some lyrics. But yeah, dude, so far getting Erica DeCassier and Benny as writers for their projects is a good way to get into my good graces. But the music alone, without that, is just phenomenal, dude. Bubblegum banger too, although a much breezier banger. I love both of these. Surprisingly, neither is my song of the week. We'll get to that soon, though. What did you think of these two?
I'm dying to know. Yeah, man, this group New Jeans needs to be the next big thing. They are
They
clearly
are the
on
next big thing.
they are clearly on this like on this tip of like like for real future stardom. I know
Yeah.
that they've got the Spotify numbers or whatever. Have they done like a festival circuit or anything like that?
So so they've only released two EPs and then this two song, and they've released a few singles. After their second EP came out last summer, they did their first American appearance at Lollapalooza, and that's their only one to date. They do like TV appearances in Korea and Japan and stuff, but they are so they actually are doing their own fan event at the Tokyo Dome this summer, and they're going to be like performing, I think, like their new EP, doing a bunch of that stuff. But no, they have yet to do a full tour circuit, which is kind of weird. I think what they're doing, one of the girls right now has a microfracture in her foot, so they're kind of
Oof.
unable to tour as a five-person group. The
Oof.
four of them have still been doing all the appearances. But also, they are pretty young. One of them's like 16 years old. So I think that they get kind of mandated breaks and they do work very hard. But I hope they come stateside soon because I'm buying a ticket ASAP, dude.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're also releasing enough material to do an hour set or like a 50-minute set,
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
also like sponsored by Coca-Cola and Nike, and
Oh,
like
yikes.
they have the big ones. They're not quite at like Blackpink popularity. Don't get me wrong. They have not made it to that echelon yet, but they are kind of the anointed ones at this point.
Amazing.
All right, let's talk about this new EP from Bad Bad Not Good. Our second Bad Bad Not Good EP in as many weeks. Mid Spiral, this one is called Order. I don't even know what to say about this, man. This is a legendary run already, and we're only two EPs in. I think Playgroup and Taco
Legendary.
Taco are my favorite songs on here, but dear God, this is all so fun, man. What'd you think about it?
This band is so fucking good, John. They like
Hmm.
cannot release bad music, it seems, despite their name telling me otherwise. The bass line on Playgroup is just insanity. Just
Really good.
insane. The bongos and the flute on Juan's World, the way they describe most of my Friday nights on Taco Taco, it's like they're speaking directly to my soul, John.
Yeah. Yeah, you and me both, man. These fucking great. Do we know if we're getting any more, or is this just kind of a surprise 2 EP thing?
I fucking hope we get so many more of these. I just like inject this into my veins. My brother-in-law, who has actually appeared on the podcast, shout out to Logan. He
Logan?
he was in jazz band and he plays the saxophone like a motherfucker. And he was gifted a Bad Bad Not Good vinyl. He had not ever listened to Bad Bad Not Good and texted our group chat and was like, "Hey, dude, Brandon, do you know this band?" I was like, "Yeah." Listen to it, have fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And yeah, man, it's he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm a fan."
Probably almost instantly.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Shout out Logan. All right, let's move on to this new EP from Kiesza, Dancing and Crying Volume 1. The dance pop legend is still crushing it 10 years after the crazy success of her song Hideaway. We've heard her on a few tracks since, most notably from Dead Mouse and Jack U, but she's back with this scorcher of an EP. I think we talked about the title track a few months ago, but the rest is just as good, although that title track, the opener, Dancing and Crying, is still my favorite. That weird little like spin back stutter effect on the hook gets me every time. I think
Yep.
Strangers is probably the only track on here I wasn't feeling quite as much as the others, but I never skipped it either. I love this EP, man. What about you?
Dude, Kiza's got a great voice. The production on this one is the perfect blend of light and poppy, but there's like darker elements, like the bass
Hmm.
lines and some of the synth work. This is great stuff, man. Most definitely danceable. I have not tested how cryable it is. That's next on my list, but we'll figure that out.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll
I
post the
promise you
videos
we
on
will.
social media. All right, man. Talk to me about these 2 new tracks from Amel and the Sniffers. You should not be doing that and Facts.
All right, this band is so fucking good, man. Her voice is perfect for punk rock. Both of these tracks are just fucking killer. A little lighter than they normally do, than most of their other stuff, but I think they fit the band very well. I think the album artwork is definitely cursed. People on YouTube, I'm sorry for that. Yeah, I love this fucking band, man. They can get it. I think in the punk rock world, I think Amel and the Sniffers are they're going places. Nobody can say
Yeah.
anything bad about them.
Dude, did I hear a fucking cowbell and saxophone and you
You
should
did.
not be doing?
You sure did, John.
Leave it at that, man. These tracks fucking rule. I don't care. The album artwork makes it even that much better. Who gives a shit, dude? I have we covered them before, or is this our first time?
We've covered I don't think we've covered a full album of theirs. I actually heard one song, like loved the song and went to my local record store, which unfortunately closed down. It was right down the street. Dude was great. He would get
Oh,
Discord record stuff all the time. And I was browsing through his new releases and I found an Amel and the Sniffers record. And I was like, hey man, that song I heard was fucking great. Why don't I buy it? Bought it, brought it home, put it on. Could not stop. I like flipped it over like 6 times, you know?
just kept going.
Yeah, I was
Fuck
just
yeah,
like,
dude.
"Fuck it, it's this is that album," and, it's been that ever since. We've covered, like, a handful of songs from them,
Hmm.
but, I
I
really
was gonna
hope we're
say the
coming
name's familiar.
yeah, I really hope we're coming into a new album.
Did you buy their self-titled or their Comfort to Me?
Self-titled.
Okay, for sure. I'll check that album out.
It's a real good one, buddy.
All right, talk to me about our obligatory techno release of this week from Oon called Platform Decay.
You know, John, something I've noticed about myself lately is that I've been gravitating towards the techno that kind of like disorients me, right? There are a
Hmm.
ton of labels putting stuff out like that, and it can be done in a variety of ways, but Un is doing it in a way that is just really doing it for me, man. The two different kicks, I don't know if you noticed there's one after another on Atrahasis or like the bouncing bleeps and bloops of You Can't Have Both. It just feels like everything is kind of like flipped over and like set up to like fuck you up. Like I almost couldn't drive to this to this EP this week because I would just like get in this fucking zone, you know. I really
Good way
like
to
this
get a
one.
ticket.
You're right, exactly. I really liked this release from him. I think it's probably an album. I didn't want to like assign a score to it because it was 8 songs or whatever. But the tribal upside of losing everything with the boom, 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 like like just so good. Yeah, big fan of this. Did you like this one? I know it's a little. I know it's a little weird.
I did. I kind of like the way as an EP it almost ratchet up as it goes along. It's almost like a mix, but not. It's just like, I don't know, his way of building energy, not just through a song, but through this project, I thought was really impressive. And yeah, sonically, I did really like it. I thought it was good.
A really good one, man.
All right, man. Are you ready to move on to the albums?
We have quite a few good albums this week, John. Yes, I am.
We got a few albums for sure. Let's talk about this one from 21 Pilots first called Clancy. I've been dying to know your thoughts on this one.
I get to go first.
You do.
This is 21 Pilots' sixth question mark studio album.
Sure.
They have an extremely distinct sound that they really try to like mess around with every time they drop a new project. This album is no different. They do a couple of things different. It opens with Overcompensate, which like the first half of that song, I don't know if you caught it, but it sounds like a Chemical Brothers intro. The first half of this.
Yeah, it's got a similar drum pattern to it for
Real
sure.
good. Continues on with like a lot of what we expect from them, but they always throw like a little bit of curveballs at us, but there's nothing too unsafe. They're in too big of a position career wise in order to be weird or unsafe with it. They kind of ride the fence of pop rock with some raps every once in a while. I think it works really well for them. It's formulaic, but nothing really feels stale, if that makes sense. The production as in like the mixing and the mastering on this is top notch. Everything in the mixing is done extremely well, especially for the style of music that they play, and it's kind of like it's definitely tailored on a song to song basis. On this record, they have a pretty extreme Matt and Kim vibe to them. You can tell they're kind of playing with sounds that are getting very
Interesting.
popular in the hyper pop realm while not really fully committing. They're putting out hyper pop that's not going to be classified as hyper pop, but they're not committing to that sound because they're not sure if it's going to stay in the zeitgeist, if you will, right?
As it
Um,
relates to rock, yeah, probably not.
like on Midwest Indigo, right?
Mhm.
Vignette is a fantastic song, man. This is a really good kind of passive and concentrated listening experience as background music or in headphones. I did like this album. Somewhere between a 6 and a 7 for me, probably more towards a 7. Vignette is going to be my standout. What do you think about this one, bro?
Oh man, I feel very differently about it than you. I
Okay,
came into it really wanting to like it, and I think that Overcompensate is probably their best. Okay, here's where I should just stop and interject myself. When I say best with them, it is all personal preference. Like, I don't, is this a bad album? No. Is this a bad 21 Pilots album? No. But do I like it? No. And I have trouble with that because I like other albums of theirs. So I
I
have
think
to
that's
find
fair.
where the disconnect is. And I think on a track like Overcompensate, yeah, it's kind of like, got nods to other genres, hip hop, breakbeat. I think the drum beat on that song just alone is fucking magnetic. I
It's
love it.
crazy.
But it's safe and it's inconsistent to me. I I think while you say they do this sound well and it hasn't gotten stale, I don't know if it's gotten stale or if I just don't like it when they play it this safe overall. Like I think Overcompensate was a little bit out of the edge from Scaled and Icy, and I was really hoping for more of that. But Next Semester was the next single, and I fucking hate that song, dude. I skip it like almost every time now. Like his voice just it's grating to me. The only moments I liked on it were two of the ones you mentioned, Midwest Indigo and Vignette. I think that those are the two other moments on this album where it feels like it's fighting back against the machine that it's being made against. But even some aspects of those tracks bugged me, if I'm being honest. I think overall, initially, I didn't think this one was as bad as it got to me after I got to like the third or fourth listen. So maybe it's like too much too soon and that kind of did it. I still do like Overcompensate. The amount of times I've heard I should not like it for the amount of times I've heard it, but I
Right.
think it's a really good track. Overall though, man, I think I'm going to put this one kind of down there with Scaled and Icy. I just didn't really enjoy it in the end. It's in like the 4 to 5 range for me. My standout Overcompensate, obviously.
You know, John, what I find, I great review, obviously, and everything, and kind of proves how everything is all personal preferences. I think we're going to get into that on the next album, but
Yes.
I will say that I'm surprised that you and I differ so much on 21 Pilots music, man. I don't like as much pop as you do, but this feels like more pop to me, and you
Hmm.
don't seem to like it. And I always find differences in opinions of people who get along so well, so vastly interesting. This is why we do this podcast. Exactly this disagreement right here, and whether it's not really a disagreement, but I just find this fascinating. So,
I
what I'd
I
say,
think I agree. It is very fascinating. Thank you for the compliment on my review. But I do think honestly, as much as I try and like overcomplicate this, it really comes down to one thing. I like them rapping over guitar and breakbeat. Like that's the sound I like. Levitate on Trench, Heavy Dirty Soul on Blurry Face.
it's fair.
Those are the 21 Pilot songs I like. When they go too far outside of that, I don't like it. That's not a fault of theirs. It's just my personal preference in their sound. But they're a group that's so fucking big, it does not matter if I like or dislike a song or two of theirs. So that they'll live. Good. I
No, most definitely. They will most definitely live, but I think your criticism is apt.
thank you.
I think, like I said, they don't fully commit to really anything, and whether or not I like it, that's a valid criticism. What you're saying is that they don't commit to specific sounds that seem to be either doing well or not to them, and it doesn't seem to be on a passionate about music level. Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. I think we can leave it there for now. Uh, it'll be an interesting album to see how it does radio wise. They do tend to do very well in that realm. So we'll
Correct.
see. All right, man. Let's move on to the new one from Bring Me the Horizon, Post Human Next Gen. Another one I have just been dying to get your thoughts on. So please, you're going first again, buddy.
I have not texted you at all about this album, John.
No, you have not.
Okay. Okay. Look, we've talked about it until I am blue in the face, and I'm going to say it again. This band that's playing this music is not Bring Me the Horizon. That being said, this is obviously really good, man. I don't like how much I like all of this, but I really do, John. I listened to it like 8 times this week, trying to
Yeah.
find shit that I didn't like about it, and I just fucking like it. Ollie has got a chokehold on the metalcore scene, and he has for fucking decades at this point. I wish that they were a little bit better live when I saw them in 2019, but they're clearly going to continue to be putting out albums that bang and will likely hit headlining tours in large arenas soon. There was an article put out, I will link it in the show notes, on Stereo Gum about how metal isn't metal anymore, and the airs of the arena tours will ultimately not be very metal. But the conversation involved in that is very apt, is very, I'm sorry, related to Bring Me the Horizon, right?
Mhm.
And if they start touring large arenas and selling them out, fuck yeah, bro. This band deserves it. This album starts with Utopia, which starts off the extremely cringe naming scheme for this album. It's light
Mhm.
and it's poppy, and it builds to the sound that we're coming to know from Bring Me the Horizon, which is, I'm calling it hyper pop infused metalcore.
You're obsessed with hyperpop this
I'm telling you,
week.
bro, there is, it's a thing. It's happening. I'm not a big fan of a lot of it, but I am a fan of both albums that apparently this week that wanted to take influence in it. There are some super heavy moments on this, and I even think we hear Ollie do a death growl a couple of times, which is fun to hear. But there are also incredibly catchy hooks and choruses, while the double bass grooves go on in the background. We get an extremely fresh take on metalcore here. Very, it is fresh. I cannot deny it, man. Strangers, obviously great. We talked about it when the single dropped, as is Lost. Tracks like the RIP Dusk Core remix, which isn't a remix by any means, that's just what they named the fucking song, aren't necessarily my thing, but the glitchy stuff is done in like a really cool way. It's quickly followed up by Amen, and the song is pretty fucking heavy, even with the Lil Uzi Vert moments. Of course, how could I go without mentioning Pussy, which is spelled in the worst way, which is
Mhm.
anything but straightforward drum and bass UK UK jungle track here, which is odd because we're reviewing a fucking Bring Me the Horizon album. Uh, for some reason, I always forget that this band is British. In the UK right now, drum and bass is practically mainstream, and I think it would have been
Taste and
remiss of
status.
Ollie to not put something like that in his in his music. From because they're from across the pond. I the final track being as progressive as it was, I wasn't really prepared for. It kind of like encompasses the entirety of the album. We get the aforementioned death growls. I enjoyed a lot of this album, man, and it's undeniable this band's ear for a hook. I genuinely don't dislike many moments on this, despite my negative bias towards what the band has evolved into. I couldn't help but be overwhelmed by thinking about how I've been listening to this band for 20 years. We talked about it when we were talking about As I Lay Dying, because
Mhm.
this band has been a member of my life for 20 fucking years at this point. You love this style or you hate it. Objectively, they did the Porter Robinson Goes Metalcore sound pretty well, and that I'm going to give it somewhere between a 7 and an 8 for me. We
Yeah,
needed to talk about it. It's either Dig It or A Bullet with Under Oath. What did you think about
for
this
sure.
album, John? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
Okay, before we get into my review, we are saying this is metalcore still, right? Like this isn't just so soft that it's just post-hardcore at this point. Like it still remains its metalcore genre tag.
I would consider it metalcore because if you consider
Okay.
Bad Omens and
Yep.
what's the
Sleep Token.
what's the other band? Sleep Token. There's another band, isn't it? We reviewed them last year. Oh fuck,
Uh Not
what's the name?
health.
No, it's never mind. There are other bands that are far softer than this that are being called metalcore. This just
Okay.
happens to
So
have
it's
synths in
metalcore
it.
for sure. Also, if people want fucking old deathcore Bring Me the Horizon back, like go listen to Poolside at the Flamingo. They're doing that sound great right now.
Thank you.
Also, just Enter Shikari was doing drum and bass and this type of music like 20 fucking years ago. But all right, let's get into the review, man. I really didn't know what to expect with this one. It was years in the making, but also a surprise drop. We've heard about half of these tracks as singles if you don't count the interludes. That didn't hurt my experience with this album one bit. Maybe that's because of how drawn out the singles were. Like Knocked Loose, I think Bring Me the Horizon has become very easy to hate and very popular to hate because of how successful they've become. But I agree with you, man. That success is for a reason, and albums like that, like this, is that reason. And I think despite some flaws, I did find a couple. They delivered another great album. It's not pushing boundaries in any way other bands of their caliber can't, but they do it in like their own trademark way that's unique to them. It's a lot more 90s worship than I was expecting, but the writing was kind of on the wall with that. I think I said when Strangers came out as a single, I was like, this reminds me of the Goo Goo Dolls, like right away. It
Right.
still does, but there's tons of other 90s influence present on this album too. I think NA probably being the best example of that. And as a 90s kid, I'm not mad at it. I think they honor it well. We get some almost grungy alt metal on Limousine, another track I'm a huge fucking fan
It's a
of.
good song.
We get the all-time Scene Kid Dream collab with Under Oath on here. A little messier than I expected, but hearing all of their voices on the same track is so fucking cool. Not just Spencer, but Aaron as well. I think Utopia and Top 10 are the obvious next singles. Both are so catchy, instantly memorable. There's not a lot I don't like about this album, man. Much like you, I think my only real gripes are all things you pointed out. The random out of genre interludes like spiritual and pussy can be a little weird. I could also do without all of the seemingly random capitalization in the album title and the song titles, but I think that's just the scene kid in them still. I'm sure there's a fan out there with some crazy Charlie Day fucking spreadsheet of what all these capitals equal up to, and it's some big thing. But it's a lot. Other than that, though, man, I love this one. Between a 7 and an 8, like you said, I think my standouts are Top 10 and Limousine. That 2 song run is just great.
I like I said in my review, man, I hate how much I love this album. So
That
there's
really
that.
says it. Yep. That really says it. All right, man. We got this new album from Vintage Culture out called Promised Land. This is another album that was a long time coming and another album that I think lived up to the hype. It's about what I expected in terms of the sound. I think he's really locked in on a signature vintage culture build and drop sound, and he's perfected it over the course of this album. Some of the vocal performances weren't as good as the music in my opinion, but none of it held it back for me. This is another album I think we've heard a few singles from, but Weak is still easily the centerpiece of the album. But the new tracks, man, like Chemicals and Pleasure Chasers, just as good as the singles were. It's a little long at an hour, but that's not really abnormal for the genre. He uses that time well, as he usually tends to do. I think this one's an easy seven for me. Pleasure Chasers and Weak are like my favorite songs, but the drop on Chemicals is still my favorite drop on the album. What did you think about this one, man? Did it live up to the hype for you?
Yeah, I kind of wish Chemicals was was titled Catacombs because I hear catacombs every time that chorus comes on. So obviously we talked about a number of these singles, right? All of these tracks hit the right spots for me, bro. A lot of tech house, a lot of trance inspired, quote unquote melodic techno. There's tons of vocal features, bunch of samples that kind of accentuate everything around it. Electronic albums like this, I'm not sure how well this is going to age, but this is clearly rooted in the popular ethos of house music right now. And vintage culture killed this fucking sound, bro. There's no denying that, right? The bass lines are crisp. The vocals were all chosen well, I think, even if they didn't. Even if they didn't hit exactly what you wanted them to, they,
Yeah.
like you said, they didn't take away from anything.
No.
The percussion is done very well. It's close to an hour of content. Really enjoyed every playthrough of this. A couple of tracks that I probably won't bump on future listens, but overall, I really enjoyed this project. It's probably about a 7 out of 10 for me. Standout is either Chemicals or Time. I actually really like Time, mainly because Brave, which I'm assuming is how you pronounce this, actually sounds a lot like Damon Albarn, and I would love to hear a Damon Albarn vintage culture collaboration because that's everything that I kept thinking every time Time came on, and I couldn't help but throw that shit on every time I wanted to listen to this one.
That doesn't sound out of the realm of possibility either. I
Right,
could see that
exactly,
collab happening.
exactly.
Yeah. Let's manifest it. Good review, man. Yeah, I think how this one ages is kind of gonna be hard to guess, but shout out to Vintage Culture for doing a full-length album in a genre that does not do enough of them, honestly.
Exactly. That I totally agree.
All right, man, let's talk about this new one from Vince Staples, Dark Times. The 3 album run he's been on this decade is insane. Each album being arguably better than the last. This being his last album on Def Jam. I don't really know the significance of that personally. It feels like a lot went into this, though, and none of it feels overthought. It all flows together so well. He's able to touch on different moods without stopping momentum. It feels like I'm repeating stuff I said from my last review of his last album, but he's just stayed at this level of greatness for so long now that I'm running out of things to say about it. Some of my favorite things on this album, I think favorite beat, Black and Blue. Favorite bar, the first time I seen $1 million bar in Etouffee, the Aphex Twin Bar on
That's a good
Government
one.
Cheese.
Yeah, that's a good one
Favorite
too.
flow has to be Little Homies. That song is just phenomenal. This one's an easy nine for me. My standout is Etouffee, which is also my song of the week. It's a perfect
Hey,
song, but Little Homies is going to be on repeat all summer, man. What did
amazing.
you think of this one? Where does it land in his more recent stuff for you?
Well, so right off the bat, Close Your Eyes and Swing perfectly sets the stage for this album. Black and Blue is a certified Vince Staples classic to me already. The
Hmm.
dude just understands and he is able to put bars down on this beat so well. And to come in with that chorus that's catchy as hell, yes. The vulnerability and just like to the point lyricism on Government Cheese is crazy and the beat is wild. I usually try to like stay away from saying like underrated, but at only 4 million monthly listeners on Spotify, he is very much under listened to at
Hmm.
the very least on Spotify. The dude is just on a level of connectedness with his productions, his insatiable love for LA, and how much he continues to just be as real as he possibly can is just admirable to me, man. Shame on the Devil has this like haunting quality to it with like the echoes and the way the vocals make use of stereo so well,
Uh,
along with like that chilling chorus, you know? Uh,
Mhm.
Etouffee is just hard, bro. The dude finds a way to rap about
That's
gang
so
shit while
good.
not fitting in anybody else's box. Nobody else can do what he did on Etouffee as well as he did. It's
Nope.
on that again, admirable as hell. The beat switch with like that 808 cowbell towards the end is just fucking sick. Justin
Uh,
is great. Hearing the helicopter bar with the actual helicopter samples earlier in the album. This dude really does live in Los Angeles.
I mean, Long
Storytelling
Beach?
is right. um, this dude's storytelling is next level. Both Justin and Radio are fucking great little stories. Bro, this album is fucking great, as was his last and the one before that, too. Like you said, Vince Staples stays killing it. I actually think this might be my favorite release from Vince. This is a 9 out of
It's
10.
up there. Yep.
Like you said, Lil Homies or Black and Blue, those are tied for my standout. I'm glad Etouffee is your song of the week. It's a great fucking track. This whole album is fucking great, bro. It was on repeat all week.
Yeah, dude, it's what, 35 minutes, kind of perfect for that
Easy.
repeat.
Easy.
Uh, man, that bar on Etouffee, the drop Big Fish has been weak since. I love Big Fish. I
Right.
hate that his original fan base did not like that turn, but man, I really appreciated it. This is fucking great, man. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Yes,
Did
sir.
did this did this take over Schoolboy Q for you, or what's your rap album of the year as of today?
Oh, that's a question. This is most definitely up there, John.
I think it's 1A and 1B. They're not even 1 and 2 at this
Yeah, this
point.
was
Yeah.
definitely up there, bro.
All right, we got the new album from DIIV, Frog Boiling in Water, man. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Alrighty, sir. So as a fan of Dive, I loved this album. This is such a lush album, bro. You call it shoegaze, you call it indie, call it whatever the fuck you
Mhm.
want. This band just continues to put out fantastic headphone music. I put that qualifier on there because this album does not sound good in my car. It's layered with distortion and what can only be described as like glittery effects. Dive has come all the way the fuck back on their fourth studio album. I found them around the time they put out the album is R, and really never looked back. Right from the opening moments in Amber, Dive took me on a silky trip through relaxation. Now, this album is indeed very relaxing, but I think it's perfect, like sip a beer outside at 2 o'clock in the morning on a nice warm night, right? Which to me it means it's not sleepy. Um, it's relaxing, it's not sleepy, and I think that differentiation, I think, is the very least important for me. It's riff driven, it's simple in many ways. The textures used on this album, like Brown Paper Bag and Somber the drums, are just immaculate, man. Not to say that the other tracks in this album are lacking any atmosphere or texture, because the whole album is just dripping with both. Raining on Your Pillow has this like somber riff to start things off, and then we get some amazing electronic elements on this one. The title track is just as good. They just kind of sweep around with the guitars as the vocals take most of the melody work. But this one picks up quite a bit towards the end, which I think is pretty sick. Love that ending riff. Dude, I think this album shows Dive at some of their best, man. And I honestly didn't think that they'd be able to improve so much on a discography that's filled with shoegazy bangers, man. But I think that they did. To me, bro, this is a 9. Just right up there with their other album. It's just below is R for me for this band at the very least. Somber the drums is an incredible track. I have a feeling you felt differently than I did.
Not really.
Oh, for real?
Not by much. Dude, I really liked this album. I didn't
Oh,
love
that's
it quite
great.
as much as you, but so this isn't my first time hearing this band, but this is my first like rollout an album of theirs that I've followed, and I think it's solidified me as one. I love the overall sound. I think my wife said it's like if Soundgarden was shoegaze. For that alone, we must stand. But all around, this whole album is just really well made. I actually think that I liked a lot of the album cuts more than the singles on this one.
There you go.
But it's just one of those albums that's so easy to throw on and enjoy, kind of no matter what you're doing, I guess outside of driving for you. But like albums like that just make it easier to overlook the little things that typically nag me. I feel like we're heading towards another shoegaze boom again, and albums like this deserve to benefit from it. I'm surprised you didn't think I would like this, man. I think this one kind of goes. I don't. I don't know about like comparable, but I would put this on like in rotation with that last slow dive one, man. It's just some really good shit. I'm gonna give it a solid 7. My standout is In Amber. Really liked that one.
Yeah, that's a really good track. I don't know why I didn't think you would like it. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But
I'm a
I'm
hater.
glad
I
that
get
you
it.
did. And you're not as much of a hater as I am because when I hate things, I really fucking hate them. Uh but yeah, man,
Apparently.
I'm really glad you enjoyed this. Dive is one of those bands. What you said though, I want to touch on a little bit. We are due for a shoegaze revival or something along those lines, is what you just said. It is
Hmm.
popping right now, bro. Bands like Always and Dive are just, and I mean, I think My Bloody Valentine did a tour recently, and like the majority of the attendees were like younger people. That's
I'm,
huge.
that's good. That's good for the
Yeah,
genre,
that's huge for
honestly.
the
Yeah.
genre. Absolutely. I'm like super stoked that we're gonna get more
It all
weirdly
comes back around,
atmospheric,
man.
layered, textured rock music like that. Sign me the fuck up, like please.
It always just comes back around. Good music is timeless, really. Like that's what it
Correct.
comes down to. And I think like shoegaze is kind of one of those genres. Look at Bring Me the Horizon, who we just talked about. Like they think post Suicide Season to like There Is a Hell. They were trying so hard to create a new type of electro dynamic metal, and now they're just back in the 90s. You know, like it
Yep.
always just goes fucking back.
Yep.
Yeah, this shit was good, man. I really enjoyed it.
Good.
All right, let's talk about this Johnny Baseball album to kick things off. Still swinging back. What'd you think of this one?
The sound of the year keeps continuing, John. This sound is that I'm speaking of course, it's hardcore influenced pop punk that
Yep,
bangs all the way through. It's an
same
incredibly
note.
short listen at just 22 minutes. This was repeated about 3 times a day for the last week. It is a really great time. I just love the two-step line to open it up as kind of a
Yep.
little double entendre there. I love the classic pop punk anthems like Pump the Brakes. I love the hardcore tracks like Good Dudes Backed Hard, which should elicit stage dives at every show. This is a hell of a debut album. I loved every second of this, man. I can't support Johnny Baseball enough. Good Dudes Backed Hard is my standout. This is an 8.
I mean, you said it, man. The way that they blend the pop punk and the hardcore is just so fun to listen to. It doesn't sound like old day to remember, but it captures some of that same spirit. Their stuff feels like a little more early 2000s Warped Tour, though. Lots of punk influence, really melodic and fun to sing along to. Some heavy moments, but not really heavy music, I wouldn't say. It's not the type of album we hear a lot anymore, and I think it's a refreshing reminder of how fun it is. It's between a 6 and a 7 for me. It's a really solid debut. I don't see how anything other than Look Out Below can be the the standout just
It's a
for
good
that
one.
intro
It's a good
alone,
one,
dude.
man.
It's so good.
Yep.
All right, that does it for our albums and stuff this week. We will be back again next week. We'll be talking about a few albums as we always do, but it's the Maria's week next week. Please tune in to hear that. I can't wait to give you guys
Same.
my thoughts on that one. I can't wait to
Same.
fucking hear it here in an hour or so.
Yes, sir.
You can find us on Instagram and Reddit. Just search Brandon's Face Pod. You can like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. And you can follow along with the playlist that the podcast is based on. You can find the link to that in the show notes. We update it every Friday. We will see you all next week. Peace.
Peace.